Hey everyone, this is Bruce from Krakengypsies, and today we'll be playing Annie's second campaign, Annie Goes East. This is recommended for 2 stars. They have the special rules: picks power, round start, grant the foe's weakest unit +1 power, and will be rewarded with a Green Glade Shade Leaf Relic, 5 fragments, and 3,000 legend points. Our Annie is 3 stars, level 13. She has Luden's Tempest, or Luden's Echo. Give me a second, let me double check. We have, Luden's Tempest, which increases the damage of our spells and skills, and Everfrost, which stuns the strongest enemy whenever we drop her down on the field. Here we'll choose our first power. What we want is, we want to go for flexible game plan here, and draw 2. Being able to draw gives us a lot of utility, and helps us get the cards that we need sooner. The first match is against a sparring student. It has the power Practiced Motions. When a unit is summoned, give its weakest ally 1/1 this round. And we're going to go in and see how difficult this is. Alright, so we are going to replace most of this hand. They do start with 1 mana. That's something to note. And there's a little bit of dialogue because it is a campaign, of course. We'll drop down our house spider here.
What do you call that technique?
And we'll attack as well with both the spiders.
Oh, you're in for it.
This forces them to block and for us to trade units. But we still keep a unit advantage, which is great for us.
Heard you're new in the area.
Alright, and they drop down the Navori Highwayman, which summons another one. Basically, it summons a brigand. We'll be dropping down Annie here.
Come out, wherever you are.
And we'll also be using Disintegrate on it, and we'll be attacking.
You wanna play?
Or sorry, we'll be blocking with Annie.
Say night-night.
Boss.
And we'll pass. We'll be saving our 1 mana as spell mana for this turn. Here we'll drop down the Captive Greyback.
I could learn from watching you.
We have 2 units with strong attack powers. So what we're going to do, real quick, is we're going to use Guile and stun one of them. I think stunning the sparring student would be best, just in case they drop down another ally. They do have 2 mana left, so it is very possible. But they didn't this turn, so we are going to attack
I wanna play.
with those 2 units, and they are forced to block with their remaining 3/3 unit that is not stunned, and it will be defeated by the Captive Greyback, and will do damage to their Nexus as well. And that ends around there.
Everyone here? Let's go.
And we're going to end with Death's Hand. We're going to deal 5 to an enemy to deal 4 to their Nexus. They only have 2 spell mana.
Next time.
So, we destroy their Nexus off of that. They weren't able to react, and or they chose not to.
Yeah, let's go make some more friends.
Okay, now we get the rewards from that. We'll be picking Thorn of the Rose out of this, mostly for its Guile. Since we already get a Guile, having more stuns isn't bad. None of these are particularly great, in my opinion, for Annie. What I'm looking for is, like, a LeBlanc, Sivir, something like that. We do have Kane, with Quick Strike, and that's not the worst. But I think I'm going to reroll once more and see what we get. Okay, so we'll be picking Sivir here with Shadow Totem. We have the choice between the Stargazer as well as the Fey Blade Twirler. And we either have the choice between the Tasty Fey Folk as a reward, Spells Chest, or Healing Node. I don't need the Healer Node, so I'm going to go for the Stargazer and see how well I do. This is my first time going up against this adventure, so I don't know what to fully expect out of this. Alright, we are going to drop down both the Legion Saboteurs here.
Explosives primed.
Bless the faithful and sear the heretics.
And the reason for it is because of their attack power. Their attack skill, sorry.
The guilty will burn.
So we'll be getting a nice chunk of damage off onto their Nexus.
Damn it.
Although we do lose a unit, and that's okay for me.
Raise your weapons, Sunwood.
This turn we'll drop down House Spider.
Follow the horizon.
They attack with 2 of their units. We'll be blocking accordingly. We'll be saving our Legion Saboteur for next turn.
Warriors in.
And we'll pass, saving our spell mana.
A little luck for those who need it.
Okay, so here we'll drop down another House Spider.
These gems grant a wearer harmony.
We'll use Guile here to stun their Solari Soldier. And we'll also drop down Treasure
Look at
Seeker.
this tiny devil.
We'll be attacking with all of our units here.
You spurn my gift? Cursed relics!
We took a couple with us and we did some Nexus damage, which was great for us in my opinion.
Now they see who I truly am.
We'll be
saw
using
you.
Guile on their
I
new
did not
4-4
know.
unit to halt their attack.
Punish transgressions.
They continue with it though, nonetheless. We'll be
Moving
using
to sight.
the rest of our units to block here.
Sunwood.
Be brave.
And after this, we'll drop down the Prefect.
I'm done being scared. It's their turn.
And we'll end the round there, saving our 2 spell mana. Here, we'll drop down Guile on their 5-4 unit.
Do better than that.
They do drop down
Now
another
they
one, though.
See who I truly am.
We'll be now using the Spell Slinger and destroying the stunned
Out of
one.
class already?
Not exactly. Get him.
My journey ends.
Now we'll drop down Thorn to the Rose,
Everything's
which will
easier
give us
than
another
it
Guile.
was.
And now we'll be using Guile
Come
on the Traveler
Like a
once
brat.
again. And we'll be attacking with all of our units,
School's
causing
out.
us to win the game. I had unit advantage. I could have done that without using all those spells. However, since I had this quest, I decided to do it like that instead. So out of this, I think we'll go for the Noxian Merchant. And we'll go into the Tasty Fey Folk. I'm not familiar with what it does off the top of my head. Okay. So we're just going to take the Tasty Fey Folk card. And we'll go into the Messenger now. It has the power Space Doggos. Round start, they shuffle the messenger into the foe's deck. If the foe has 3 or more messengers, create a fleeting starbone in the foe's hand. Meaning they get their namesake card in their deck, and whenever they have enough of their namesake card, they get the fleeting starbone, which is a 2-cost quick spell. If you behold a celestial, you create a messenger in your deck, and then all celestial allies get 1/1 everywhere. Okay, well, we're going to drop down Annie first.
Come on, Tibbers. It's playtime.
Raise your weapon, Sunway.
And I will drop down the Treasure Seeker.
Almost got it.
We'll be attacking with Annie here.
Smells like burning.
The guilty will burn.
They do sacrifice their Solari Soldier to block.
Warriors, it.
And win the round there.
Ours is the one true light.
They do decide to drop down another one of the Solari. We'll be using our Guile. Yeah, we'll use Guile on it and stun it. They drop down a Spacey Sketcher, and they get to invoke.
Another spark.
We'll drop down another Treasure Seeker.
Gently, gently.
Alright, they decide to attack. We'll be blocking with one of the Treasure Seekers, I suppose,
Square.
which destroys both of the units.
Ow, ow, ow.
Here, we'll drop down Sivir.
Nothing's lost.
We
It's just
were
waiting
lucky
to be
and
found.
got Shadow
You
Totem on
won't
her.
believe what we found today.
And we'll be attacking with Annie and both of the Sivers.
Danger pays.
No mercy for heretics.
We do lose Annie here because they do have Spell Shield, which is pretty clever. We'll be using Death's Hand now on their Solari Soldier to get rid of it.
Sunward.
And we'll also drop down the Tasty Fey Folk.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
And we'll end the round there. We'll now drop down the Captive Greyback.
Calm mind and open heart greet the night.
And here we'll also drop down the House Spider.
It reminds us there is always more to discover.
They drop down a couple cards as well, and that's okay. We'll be attacking with all the units.
You were misguided.
And we have enough damage to end this round. We level up Sivir
I go
too,
where the trouble is.
as a
It's never
byproduct.
too far.
I go back.
They got what they paid for.
Okay, now for rewards. So both the Mana Soul Student as well as the Ballistic Bot are okay here. The only thing is that you'd be taking Quick Attack on a unit that has 0 power turn 1 until you started to use created cards to buff it up because of its augment. So we're just going to go for Mana Soul Student because it doesn't take as much to prepare. And we're going to go into the item chest. And if we wanted to, we can have it with Shadow Totem. I think we'll do that. I think that's pretty okay. And now we have a shop. So, we don't need counterfeit production, in my opinion. And standalone would be one cost here. We don't have any rerolls, so we can't reroll the shop. Decisive maneuver is also very useful for us, so I think we'll go for that. We'll go for one copy of that. Now we're going to go into Zoe.
Awesome! This is gonna be so much fun!
So, she has the power Sparky Kiddo. Brown Star, she creates a random 3 or less cost celestial card in her hand and give it fleeting and reduces cost to 1. So, this is pretty much the same Zoe encounter from whenever you're going up against Galio in his mission. At least in terms of her power. I didn't familiarize myself with the health difference, though, on their Nexuses. And I don't know if they play any different or not.
Look at this reality! Look how sparkly!
Since it is their attack turn, what we can do is just stun Zoe. And that gets rid of her spell shield.
I call this constellation the jump rope!
And they attack with both of their units for 2 damage. We'll take our 1 spell mana and end the round. This round, we'll drop down our House Spider.
Okay, what did you do this time?
And we'll use Guile on their 3/3, the Trickster.
You make everything more fun!
But they do have an overwhelming amount of units comparatively. We'll be losing both of our units if we went to attack, so I'm just going to pass. We'll drop down Sivir here.
Honor is the rust on a dull blade.
And they still attack with their elusive units, causing us some damage.
Hey, hi! You dropped this!
And they did use Spell Thief, which is going to take our Guile. And we can't block because none of our units have elusive. So we're forced to pass. Our Shadow Totem Sivir was defeated. Okay. So we have a couple things that we can do here. I don't know what the right choice is, so to speak. Well, we're going to attack with Sivir. And only Sivir. And that will guarantee we take out a unit. Okay. Just kidding. We'll have to use Disintegrate on the dragon to get rid of it now. Because they buffed it. And here we'll use Gaio on Zoe. Followed up by a Spell Slinger, which will deal 4 damage to Zoe. And they don't have any spell mana or anything that they can do about this.
So dizzy.
And we'll end the round there, and keep our 2 spell mana. They do drop down a Sneaky Zeebles. And we'll be using Guile on it. Unfortunately for us, they can still attack with their 3/3 elusive unit. So, just in case, we'll drop down Sivir's Ricochet and see if it can destroy it.
Line them up.
We did get really lucky and we took out most of their units with that. Which stopped them from attacking altogether. Here we'll drop down the Noxian Merchant, which will give all of our units Overwhelm. We'll be using Guile to stun the Resplendent Stellacorn. Since we have 5 units, we're not going to drop down the Mana Soul Student after this. And they do stun our Noxian Merchant. However, what we will do instead is drop down the Tasty Feyfolk.
Hello. Hello.
Which will let us get some lifesteal out on the field.
Danger pays.
And we'll attack with all of our units. 6 more damage will level up Sivir. So we are going to move them around accordingly.
Go.
It's a living.
And we'll commit to this. And we'll be hitting them for quite a bit of damage.
I go where the trouble is. It's never too far.
And that leaves them with 6 Nexus health left.
The best journey brings me home.
They do drop down Grandfather Rumi? I can't see the last part of his name. That's okay, though. We'll drop down Thorn of the Rose here.
Let's make this a night to remember.
And we'll be using Thorn of the
Quite
Rose
done.
to block that unit. And we'll be using Tasty Feyfolk
What are you?
to block the other. We can't block Sneaky Zeebles because we don't have an elusive unit.
Bye.
And we'll drop down another Tasty Feyfolk here.
Ready. Bye bye.
And we'll end the round there. Here we'll attack with all of our units.
Business as usual.
And that's going to end the game there. Maybe. Depending on what they decide to do. Yep. Okay.
You'll pay.
So we beat Zoe. And we finished our quest. We will go for Dragon's Tooth on Sivir. And the reason for it is because of her keyword share whenever she levels up. And we'll go for level up as well. And now we're going to go into the Swole Squirrel. And probably go for the champion item chest. Okay, we're going to keep this sand.
We made it, Rim! I want to go home.
We don't have the attack token, but we'll drop down Fiora here anyways.
Fall by my blade.
Chop, chop it!
And we can't block, so that is what it is. Here, we'll drop down Annie,
Come out,
which will stun the young witch.
wherever you are.
They do unfortunately drop down the Scaled Snapper, and that's okay. We'll drop down our Legion
No
Saboteur.
one's the wiser.
And they don't have any mana. We'll be stunning the Scaled Snapper. And we'll be attacking with all of our units here
Strike quickly. Smells like burning.
for 15 damage. And we'll end the round there. Here we'll drop down Guile and immediately stun the young witch once again. And we'll follow it up with Spellslinger and destroy it.
Mr. Kythero. Kai.
It's Kythera, Annie. Hey, Tibbers.
Rim, run.
They do attack with all of their units, unfortunately. If we use Fiora to block, we'll be losing Fiora altogether.
Sharp blade, sharp mind.
You like spiders?
But I think us taking out their units is important. So we'll be doing that. Unfortunately, we will be trading our units.
Dang.
Everything I've worked for.
But we do keep Annie. We'll drop down Sivir here.
Blood or gold, I always get my share.
And we immediately get her leveled up.
Is mine.
And we get our clone as well. Here we'll be attacking with all 3 of our units.
It's so big. Smells like burning.
And this levels up Annie as well.
Where there's fire, there's timbers.
I still think she has like one of the best level up animations. And we'll be attacking for 13 damage. Nearly defeating them. And we'll drop down the Treasure Seeker.
What's behind this door, you think? Deadly
And
traps,
one around
angry
there.
guardians, bunch of gold.
They drop down the Swole Squirrel. We'll be using Guile to make sure it doesn't attack this turn. Now we'll be dropping down Caitlyn,
Hot on the trail.
followed by Pike,
They all sink before they float.
and one around there. We'll be using Guile once again. Actually, no we won't. We have too many units. We're just going to end.
This way, they
Yep.
want to play in the fire.
They got what they paid for.
Alright, now we'll be getting the rewards from that. We'll be picking the Captive Greyback that has Shadow Totem. The other options were okay as well. And now we're going to go into the Champion Item Chest. And we'll pick up a pickaxe for Sivir. And go into the shop. We do have 750 gold, so we're doing pretty well. We'll go for Feral Pre-Signs here. And we'll leave it there. Now we have 2 choices on either going through the Sneaky Zeebles, which we don't have elusive units, we could have, and go up against the Incisive Tactician, or we can go for the Champion Item Chest and go up against the Green Glade Caretaker. We'll be doing this and going up against the Green Glade Caretaker. She has the Shelter and Glade power. When either player summon a unit, it gets Barrier. Here we'll be replacing our Senna and pretty much all of our cards. We'll keep the Feral Pre-Signs though.
I am one with the land.
We'll immediately use Feral Pre-Signs here, which will let us draw a champion. And we could also predict what card we'll get next. Considering next turn is going to be our turn 3 and attack turn, we'll go for the Tasty Feyfolk. Here, we'll be using Guile to stun their unit, which stops them from attacking. And win the round there since we don't have anything else to do. Here, we'll drop down our Tasty Feyfolk, as
Looks
previously
like I'm
mentioned.
Bye-bye. Water changes, but never breaks.
Fortunately for us, it does have Barrier and it
Into
has
the
Lifesteal.
forest.
So we'll be committing to this attack.
Currents pull them down.
Unfortunately for us, our Nexus health is
A
full,
gift
so
from
we
the
won't be
river
able
folk.
to utilize their lifesteal. And we'll end the round there, keeping our 1 spell mana.
What do these yordle eyes see?
Okay, so here we're going to be using Death's Hand on their Green Glade Caretaker. Since it is their strongest unit.
Don't think I won't unmake you because I will.
And here we'll be using Guile on their 3/2 unit as well.
What have we here?
They decided to attack anyways. We'll be
What are
blocking
you? You're strange.
the Flower Child, which won't do any damage to our Tasty Feyfolk because that's tough. Here we'll drop down Annie.
Come out, wherever you are.
And we'll drop down Spellslinger, and we'll get rid of the River Shaper.
It's Mr. Kythero. Kai.
It's Kythera, Annie. Hey, Tibbers.
Waters are still.
And to end things, we'll be dropping Guile on their Drold Protector before we attack. And here we go.
Walking is strange.
Yeah, he bites.
We'll be taking out both of their units. And healing our Nexus a bit with the Feyfolk's Lifesteal. And we'll end the round there since we don't have any 2-cost units.
Rivers shape the land and give it life.
So they do have a lot of strong units on the board. What we can do is we can use Guile here and stun one of them. I don't think it really matters which one we stun necessarily. So we're going to stun the one that's not at Farmville. And they decided to buff it with the rest of their mana for whatever reason.
You're in over your head.
We can just eat the 5 damage and use the Tasty Feyfolk.
What form will the waters take?
We'll drop down another one.
I taste purple. Yay.
And we'll also drop down Ari.
Night protects the huntress.
And we'll end the round there. Here we'll drop down Guile on their River Shaper, stopping it from utilizing its strike during our attack phase. And we'll drop down Senna since she does have quick attack.
Down, thousands to go.
This also gives us a darkness to play. We'll be using it to take out their 6/4 unit. And that levels up Annie.
Where there's fire, there's timbers.
They decide to use Sonic Wave and Resonating Strike. I don't think it's going to make any difference though. So here, we're going to drop down the Tasty Feyfolk
Into the
first,
forest.
and then Annie,
It's so big.
and then Senna,
Ready to fire.
our other Tasty Feyfolk,
Off we go.
then Ari, and then the Spellslinger.
Let's go, Fang.
And we'll commit to this attack.
They want to play in the fire.
It'll heal our Nexus
Keep
to
your
full health
distance.
as well. And here we'll be using Darkness to destroy the barrier on their Droid Protector.
Make the hurt your weapon.
Bye.
Too slow.
And the lifesteal from both of the Feyfolk helped us tremendously here. We'll also drop down the Spellslinger to get rid of the River Shaper.
Kythero. Kai.
It's Kythera, Annie. Hey, Tibbers. Waters are still.
And we'll end the round there since there's nothing that either of us can do. They drop down the Sacred Protector. We'll be using Guile upon it. and that forces them to end their round. We'll be dropping down Tibbers perhaps next round. We'll see. I don't know yet. And when they're on there. I don't need to end drop down Tibbers to end, so I'm just going to attack with all of our units here.
It's almost time.
I don't believe that there's anything that they can do about it.
Getting dark.
Yep. And we're able to win off of that.
Did you like that, Tibbers? Wasn't it fun?
And here we go. We'll be getting rewards from that. We'll be picking the Siphoning Strike with Titanic Sensor. And we'll go into the Champion Item Chest. We'll be taking Overwhelm on Sivir. And we go into the Healing Node. There's nothing for us to heal. And there's also no cards I specifically want to cut. So we'll go up against Lulu. She has the power Adorabus.
Pleased to meet you.
And what it does is the round start, they transform the player's strongest follower into a 1/1 squirrel and silence it this round. So just like the Lulu adventure. We'll be keeping our hand here. This is pretty good for us.
Lulu! Where'd she go?
Leave, Bob.
They immediately drop down a ephemeral unit, or sorry, elusive unit. We'll be using our Guile to stun it. And we're basically going to be replicating the same strategy that we've been using the last couple matches. Here we'll be doing the same thing. We'll be dropping Guile on it once again.
Look, Lou, I made a Pix too.
And now we'll drop down Spellslinger to get rid of it.
He's gonna be super happy.
Get him.
Rib, run.
And now we'll drop down the Legion Saboteur.
I have my orders.
And we'll be attacking with it as well.
Get him, Pix.
We put some damage on Lulu, and we also put some damage on their Nexus. At the cost of our unit. And the Spellslinger will also turn into a squirrel this round.
Rib, say hi, Lulu.
Hi, Lulu.
Aren't you a cute little smoosh boy?
Here we'll use Gaia once more on their elusive young witch.
Is it adventure time, you guys?
And here we'll be using Death Sand on Lulu,
That's yes.
which gets rid of Lulu and does some Nexus damage.
So hungry.
They do attack with the Flower Child. We can decide to block with it. And we end a turn, and that takes us to my turn. We'll drop down our Sivir.
Nothing's lost. It's just waiting to be found.
And we'll use Guile on their new unit that has Barrier. They decide to pass, so we'll be
It's a
attacking with both of
living.
the Sivirs.
You'll pay. I'm a woman of principle. Mine is kill and get paid.
They didn't block either of our Sivers, so we did quite a bit of Nexus damage.
Oh my gosh. Go on, Rib.
You told me to say hello.
And our Sivir also leveled up.
Look, Lou, I made a Pix too.
Hello.
Aww, he's gonna be super happy.
Here we'll drop down the Mana Soul Student with Shadow Totem.
So cool.
And they do use Homecoming to recall. We aren't able to counter that.
Would you believe it?
However, Sivir did have a spell shield, so in a way we were. And here we'll be using Guile, this time on the Fuzzy Caretaker,
Cool. Spell embers.
which will do quite a bit of damage to their Nexus, thanks to the Mana Soul student's power. Unfortunately, though, we did take damage from the Young Witch's elusives. And here we'll drop down Kayn. And we'll go for the Shadow Assassin this time around.
The undoing draws near.
Yes, yours.
And here we'll be using Decisive Maneuver. We'll be stunning Lulu. And we'll protect Disintegrate. And here we'll be using Guile on their 3-2 Fuzzy Caretaker. This forces them to block with their elusive units. We'll drop down the Treasure Seeker.
What's behind this door, you think? Deadly traps, angry guardians, bunch of gold.
And we'll be attacking with all of our units.
Do you like magic?
And we'll be winning this encounter.
They got what they paid for.
And there you have it. Annie's Part 2 campaign is now finished. This is Bruce from Krakengypsies signing out. Take care, everyone. Stay Kraken. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe to us on YouTube. And check us out on Twitch. We have the links in the description below. Alright. Thanks for tuning in, and stay Kraken, everyone.